During a family barbecue, my husband's new intern showed up drunk and confused. She looked me dead in the eyes and slurred, "You're way prettier than the woman he says he's stuck with." Silence fell over the whole backyard. My husband turned white. I grabbed my keys, took our son's hand, and drove away, leaving him to explain to 40 horrified relatives. I've never written anything like this before. But I need to get it out. Maybe writing it down will help me stop shaking. Maybe it'll help me believe it really happened. My name doesn't matter. I'm 38. I live in a suburb about 25 minutes outside Austin, Texas. I've been married to Mark for just under 10 years. We have one kid, our son Eli. He just turned 6. For most of my marriage, I thought I had a good man. Mark isn't charming. He's not the flirtatious type. He's quiet. Almost boring, honestly. Works in finance. Same job for years. He likes routines, grilling, spreadsheets. Always makes sure the lawn is perfect. Always uses coasters. Not the kind of man anyone looks at and thinks, "That guy's probably cheating." That's why this is hitting me like a truck. We threw a backyard birthday party for Eli. I planned everything. It was going to be special. We invited both sides of the family, my sisters, my dad, Mark's brothers, his parents. I made all the food myself. I cleaned for 3 days. I rented a bounce house, hired a magician, bought matching tablecloths and plates. You know, all the stuff we do for our kids just to see them smile. There were around 40 people there. Everyone was eating, drinking, laughing. It was the kind of day that makes you feel like everything's okay. Like your life is stable. It wasn't. Around 3 p.m., a car pulled into the driveway. A shiny black Audi. I didn't recognize it. A woman stepped out. Young. Blonde. Skinny. Wearing high heels and a tight dress that made 0 sense for a kid's party. She looked like she was ready for a club, not a backyard with kids throwing water balloons. And she was drunk. Sloppy drunk. Could barely stand up straight. She carried a red Solo cup with some kind of dark liquor in it, already half gone. I remember thinking, who the hell is this? She walked straight past everyone. Didn't say hi. Didn't look around. Just marched across the lawn, straight toward me like she knew exactly who I was. Mark was standing a few feet away, holding a plate of ribs. As she walked past him, his whole face changed. I mean changed. Like someone flipped a switch. He looked like a man about to pass out. She stopped in front of me, close enough that I could smell the alcohol and perfume. She blinked, trying to focus. Then she smiled and said, slow and slurred, "You're way prettier than the woman he says he's stuck with." I didn't even understand at first. I just stared at her. Then it hit me. She was talking about me. She was comparing me to me. The backyard went silent. Completely. Even the magician stopped talking. Even the kids turned to look. Mark dropped his plate. I turned and looked at him. He looked like he might throw up. I didn't say a word. I walked away. Walked over to where Eli was sitting on the grass with his cousins, handed him his shoes, picked him up, grabbed my car keys from the kitchen counter, and left. No yelling. No questions. No goodbye. I just left. Took my son. Got in the car. And drove. I went straight to my sister Jenny's house. She didn't even ask why. She saw my face, took Eli from my arms, and told me to sit down. She turned off my phone for me. She got me water. Put a blanket on my lap like I was 80 years old. I was in shock. Still am, maybe. That night, I sat at her table in the dark, holding a glass of wine, staring at nothing. I didn't even cry. My body felt frozen. Jenny sat with me for hours. Around midnight, she asked, "What are you going to do?" And I said, "I don't know. But I'm not going back." The next morning, my phone was filled with missed calls. Mark. His mom. A bunch of numbers I didn't recognize. I turned the phone off again. At around 10:30 a.m., Jenny picked it up and read me one of the texts. It said, "I'm so sorry. I need to explain. Please come home. I swear it's not what it looked like. I've never cheated. I swear. Please, please talk to me." I didn't respond. I was done listening to what he wanted me to hear. Later that day, I went back to our house while he was at work. I took everything I needed, my clothes, Eli's clothes, my laptop, some papers, Eli's school things, and his favorite toys. I left the rest. I left a note on the counter. "You let her tell me the truth in front of 40 people. Don't bother lying now. I'll call you when I'm ready." Then I left again. Drove straight back to Jenny's. That was the last time I stood in my kitchen as a wife. The fallout came fast. Turns out, her name was Lacey. She was his intern. New hire. 23 years old. She'd been with his company about 6 months. I started getting messages from people who were at the party. People who knew something. His coworker James sent me a long Facebook message telling me he always thought something was off about Mark and the intern. He said people in the office joked about how she followed Mark around like a puppy. Said Mark was mentoring her personally. Said he once caught them in his office with the lights off after hours. I asked James if he thought they were sleeping together. He said, if they weren't, she sure thought they were. Then the intern, Lacey, sent me an email. Subject line: "I'm sorry for what I said." She wrote that she didn't mean to hurt me, that she was embarrassed, and that she'd had too much to drink. But then she kept going. She wrote that she loved Mark. That he told her his marriage was cold and distant. That he felt trapped and only stayed for the kid. She said they'd been sleeping together for 4 months. She thought he was going to leave me. She even said she was upset when she wasn't invited to the party. That she thought she was going to be introduced soon. I read that email 5 times. Then I printed it out, called a lawyer, and started divorce paperwork the next day. But I wasn't finished. He humiliated me in front of our entire family. He turned me into the fool in my own backyard, at my own child's birthday party. So I made sure everyone knew the truth. I forwarded Lacey's email to every adult who was there. My family. His family. His coworkers. His boss. I didn't add anything. I didn't write a message. I just let her words speak for themselves. 2 days later, his company forced him to resign. Lacey was let go too. His mother called me sobbing. His older brother texted me and said, "I'm so sorry. I had no idea." His younger brother told me he'd never speak to Mark again. In 1 week, he lost his job, his intern, his image, and his family. And I wasn't even close to done yet. Mark tried to stay quiet after the email went around. I think he was ashamed, maybe even scared. For about 2 weeks, I didn't hear anything directly from him. Then, one afternoon, a knock came at Jenny's door. It was Mark. I didn't answer. Jenny did. She told him I wasn't interested in talking. He begged. Said he needed 5 minutes, just 5 minutes to explain. She shut the door in his face. 10 minutes later, he sent me a long text from a new number. He said he didn't cheat. That yes, he'd said stupid things to Lacey. That he let things get emotionally inappropriate. But he swore it was all just office flirting and venting. He said she was young and read too much into things. Said he didn't sleep with her. Said she was lying to punish him for not leaving me fast enough. I didn't believe him. But I wanted to be sure. So I called her. Yes. I called her. I told her who I was. She sounded surprised but not scared. I asked her, straight up, did you sleep with him? She paused, then said, yes. Multiple times. Mostly at hotels near the office. She even named one. I stayed calm. I said thank you. Then I hung up. I drove to that hotel and asked to speak to the manager. I told him my husband might have stayed there on company time and that I needed to confirm it. I showed him a picture of Mark and gave him a few dates Lacey had mentioned. The manager looked him up. Found 3 reservations under Mark's name in the last 4 months. I asked for copies. He wouldn't give them to me. But I didn't need them anymore. I had enough. When I told my lawyer, he got quiet. He said, this changes things. A lot. In Texas, infidelity can still play a role in divorce outcomes, especially when there's evidence. We changed the filing to include adultery. We asked for full custody. We asked for the house. We asked for child support, plus spousal support due to emotional and reputational damage. Mark didn't respond well. He called me at night from blocked numbers, left voicemails where he cried, begged, yelled, accused. One night, he said, "You're destroying my life. Are you proud of yourself?" Yes. I was. 3 weeks later, I got a letter from his lawyer. They wanted to mediate privately to avoid court. Translation: they knew they were screwed and didn't want a judge to see the email, the hotel records, and the parade of witnesses who saw Lacey crash our son's party with a drunken confession. I told my lawyer I wanted court. I wanted the full process. I wanted everything on record. I wanted it public. I wanted the truth to hurt. But then something happened I wasn't prepared for. Eli started asking hard questions. Why does Daddy cry on the phone? Why don't we live in our house anymore? Why don't I see Grandma and Grandpa now? It hit me like a truck. My kid didn't care about revenge. He just missed his family. Missed his home. Missed his normal. And for a moment, I questioned everything. Was I going too far? But then, another twist. Lacey filed a complaint against Mark with his old company. She accused him of manipulation, emotional coercion, and retaliation. I got a copy through a friend still working at the firm. She claimed he promised her promotions, made her feel safe and important, then ghosted her the second his wife found out. She said he lied to her too. Whether it was true or not, it didn't matter. Her story was out there now. HR opened an investigation, and word spread fast. Mark became poison in the local business community. People started dropping him from networking circles. A finance podcast in Austin even mentioned him, didn't say his name, but described the birthday intern scandal that had gone viral in their circles. My sister's husband heard a coworker joke, "Don't pull a Mark at the company party." He didn't just lose his job. He lost his name. And that was just the beginning. A few weeks after Lacey filed the complaint, Mark showed up at Eli's school. It was pickup time. I was waiting in line, like always, just outside the main entrance. I spotted Mark across the parking lot, standing near the bike racks, arms crossed, wearing sunglasses like he was trying to look casual. But his face was tight. He looked angry. Not sad. Angry. I got out of the car, walked over, and said, "You're not supposed to be here." He didn't raise his voice, but his jaw clenched. "I have a right to see my son." I told him no, not without supervision, not until we finalized the agreement. He laughed, cold and mean, and said, "You're trying to turn him against me." I stepped between him and the school entrance and said, clear and loud, "Leave. Now. Before I call the police." He hesitated. Then he muttered, "You're the one who ruined everything." And he walked off. But that shook me. Because he wasn't broken anymore. He was pissed. Dangerous pissed. The kind that makes you change your locks again, even if you already did once. I called my lawyer that night and filed for a temporary restraining order. It was approved. 2 days later, I got a call from Eli's school principal. Mark had tried to access the school's parent portal online. He'd logged in using old credentials. Tried to see Eli's teacher messages, class assignments, pickup times. They flagged the login. The principal was worried. So was I. That weekend, Jenny and I installed cameras at her house. One on the front porch, one on the driveway, one watching the backyard. I bought a safe for my documents. Changed all my passwords. I even signed up for an alert system that notifies you if your name or info shows up on strange websites. And it's good I did. Because 3 nights later, someone slashed Jenny's husband's tires. 4 of them. In the driveway. Nothing stolen. Nothing else damaged. Just the tires. The cops said it was probably a targeted act. No evidence. No cameras caught the plate. But we all knew. Jenny's husband wanted to go to Mark's apartment himself. I told him not to. I said, let me handle it. Meanwhile, something else happened. I was at the grocery store, trying to get through my list when someone tapped me on the shoulder. It was Lacey. I almost didn't recognize her. She looked rough. Pale, tired, way too thin. No makeup. Hoodie and leggings. She looked like someone who hadn't slept in weeks. I need to talk to you, she said. I didn't want to. I really didn't. But I was curious. We sat outside on a bench near the parking lot. She told me Mark had been harassing her too. Blaming her for the job loss. For the divorce. For everything. She said he called her at night. Sent her voice messages where he'd swing between sobbing and threats. He said I ruined his life, she whispered. I think he wants to ruin mine back. She was scared. And you know what? As much as I hated her, I believed her. She pulled out her phone and showed me the messages. There were dozens. You think I won't tell people what you did to me? You're a liar. A dumb kid who threw herself at a married man. I should have never trusted you. You destroyed me. She said she was considering filing a restraining order too. Then she said something else. He told me, if he's going down, he's taking us both with him. The next day, Mark's parents showed up at Jenny's house. I didn't want to let them in, but Jenny said, let them talk. So we sat at the kitchen table, me, his mom and dad, and Jenny standing in the doorway with her arms crossed. His mom looked like she hadn't slept either. His dad wouldn't look me in the eye. His mom said, we didn't know. About the intern. About any of it. We're so sorry. I didn't respond. Then his dad finally spoke. He's not well. He's angry. He's drinking. He talks about ending everything. Blames you. Blames her. Blames us. I asked them, do you think he's dangerous? His dad said yes. His mom burst into tears. They told me they were going to push him into a program, something for men in crisis. I didn't care. I told them I didn't want him anywhere near me or my son. Then I handed them a folder with copies of the police report, the hotel confirmations, the restraining order, and screenshots of his voicemails. I said, you raised this man. Now deal with him. But if he shows up again, I swear to God I will press every charge I can. They left without arguing. The divorce process dragged on. Mark didn't respond to documents. Didn't show up to the first hearing. His lawyer quit. Then he got a new one. Then that one quit. Meanwhile, I kept everything documented. Every message. Every voicemail. Every call attempt. I saved them all. Because I had a plan. And the revenge part of the story? It hadn't even started yet. A few months after the tire slashing and the failed hearings, Mark stopped showing up anywhere. No more voicemails. No more texts. His parents said he'd checked into some short-term inpatient program for stress and alcohol issues. I didn't care. I kept pushing the divorce forward. We finally got a court date in December. I brought everything. My lawyer walked in with a binder 3 inches thick. He had printed screenshots, police reports, restraining orders, call logs, Lacey's email, and even a signed letter from the hotel manager confirming Mark's stays. Mark showed up with a new lawyer, this one paid for by his parents. He looked old. That's the best way to put it. Hair unwashed. Cheeks sunken. Eyes dull. He didn't look like someone fighting for his family. He looked like someone waiting to lose. And he did. The judge granted me full legal and physical custody of Eli. Mark was allowed supervised visits, pending a clean psych evaluation and proof of sobriety. He was ordered to pay child support and spousal support. He lost the house. The judge made a note that Mark's behavior was manipulative, emotionally reckless, and harmful to the child's environment. His lawyer didn't even try to argue. That should have been enough. But it wasn't. Because then I opened my own little revenge folder. See, after I found out about the hotel meetings, I started digging. I hired a local tech guy who helps with digital records. I gave him Mark's old work laptop, one that he left behind during the chaos. It had a broken screen, but the hard drive still worked. What we found? Company data. Confidential client files. Hundreds of them. Saved to a personal folder. Downloaded from internal systems. Some of them dated back 2 years. Stuff he should have never had outside the office. That's when I made one final phone call, to his old employer. I told them I had their files. I told them how I found them. I gave them the name of the hotel where the intern said some of the work meetings happened. And I handed them a full report with dates and screenshots. They thanked me. And a week later, they sued Mark for breach of contract and data theft. He settled out of court. Quietly. But it cost him. A lot. His parents had to remortgage their house to help him pay the fine. That Audi Lacey bragged about him driving? Repossessed. That next job he hoped to get? Never came. Nobody wanted him. The finance world around Austin is small, and people talk. Lacey moved to another state. Changed her number. Deleted all her social media. I don't blame her. As for me? I took the money from the house, moved Eli and I to a new place across town, and started fresh. I started working full-time again at a small accounting firm. Nothing fancy, but mine. I got Eli into a new school, one with better teachers and no bad memories. And a few months ago, I started dating someone new. Nothing serious yet. Just dinner. Conversations that don't make my stomach hurt. A man who shows up when he says he will. A man who listens. Sometimes I still feel angry. Other times I feel stupid. But mostly, I feel clean. He thought I would explode, cry, beg. He thought I'd fall apart. Instead, I let his mistress blow up his life for me. Then I walked away, piece by piece, and burned the rest down myself, legally, calmly, and in full control. He used to say I was too emotional. Turns out, I was just patient.